Welcome back to another powerful episode of the Languages Pedagogy Podcast. As you can see, today we have a different screen. Normally I have two screens here, but now I have three. So the place, this is the place where we actually explore ideas, strategies, stories, people transforming the way we teach and learn languages and education as a whole. Today's episode is something truly special, actually, as I just told Tisha and now Dave. Uh, how do teachers turn ordinary classrooms into extraordinary spaces where engagement, wonder, creativity, and genuine learning happen? That is exactly what we're exploring today. In this very special conversation, we have two wonderful guests. I never thought I was going to have such amazing people here, such amazing educators. On the one corner, maybe here, this corner, I have Tisha Richmond. On the other side, I have Dave. Let me see if I can pronounce your last name pretty well. Burgess.
Yeah, with a soft G, Burgess. Yeah.
Burgess. Okay. Very good. Thank you. So we have wonderful guests today, authors of wonderful books. So please, I would like to hear you a little bit. I don't want people to listen to me. I have you guys. So please, Tisha, why don't you just give us a little bit of who you are, what you do?
Well, thank you so much, Mike, for having us. It's such an honor to be here. I have been in education about 30 years, most of those years as a career and technical educator. Culinary arts is kind of my specialty. Also have taught interior design. About 2018, 19, I stepped out of the classroom for a little bit and was a tech integration specialist, supporting teachers K through 12 and bringing innovation and technology into their classrooms. I had the great honor of writing four projects through Dave Burgess Consulting, starting with Make Learning Magical. And then I also wrote a children's book with my son Tommy called Dragon Smart. And that story is near and dear to my heart because it's a story about his experience in school, and he illustrated the book and I wrote the story. And then I wrote a book that is an ebook called Ep221 Companion Guide. And so that goes along with the Ep221 book one that was written by John Crippo and Marlena Hepburn. So really honored to be a part of that project. And then recently in December, I wrote the Magical CTE Classroom. And all of the projects are really near and dear to my heart. I'm so honored to be published to Dave Burgess Consulting, an incredible publishing company. And just really it really has been a magical journey as I have really tried to create extraordinary experiences for my students. And really, kind of my journey is a journey of really transforming my teaching too. You know, going from a teacher that was burnt out to a teacher that really was able to respark that joy in my own experience of teaching. So it's been an awesome ride, and here I am back in the classroom teaching culinary arts in Medford, Oregon.
Beautiful. Wow, such an amazing experience there. Definitely we will learn a lot with you. Thank you very much, Tisha. Welcome. I'm really honored to have you here. Dave,
Thank
please
you.
let us know a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I'm currently in Vancouver, Washington, but spent most of my time in San Diego, California. And I was a teacher for 17 years. And during that period of time, I wrote a book called Teach Like a Pirate and began to travel and speak around the Teach Like a Pirate message. And I was kind of upset with the publishing industry at the time when I was trying to find a way to get my book out into the world. And so I started a publishing company in order to put my book into the world. Eventually started to try to amplify the message of other educators and help them put their messages out into the world and spread their voice and their work. And so, as Tisha mentioned, she has several books on the Dave Burgess Consulting line, and now we publish over 200 titles from educators all over the world. So
Wow.
now, a combination of spreading the Teach Like a Pirate message and also helping other educators spread their messages.
Whoa, beautiful. That was a little bit of a lot, I would say. Wonderful career, wonderful careers. I really admire you too for all what you've been doing. in the publishing part, in the author, in the writing part. For sure, as teachers, I don't know, I've never seen you actually teaching, but for sure, you guys are amazing teaching as well. So you both actually taught in university, high school, kindergarten. What level did you guys teach?
So
Yes.
I
So
was I was primarily a high school teacher, and my subject for most of the time was U.S. history. And so, yeah, so I was a high school teacher. My kids were about 16, 17 years old when I was teaching them.
What about you, Tisha?
yeah, same. I teach high school. So I teach ninth through 12th. My culinary program has four different levels. And so, I get the freshmen sometimes at that culinary one level, all the way through seniors that are at the end of the career pathway that I teach. But it's always been high school.
Oh, nice. So you never actually went through kindergarten, maybe for a couple of months or something like it? No, always high school.
Yeah, so I would say that when I was at the district office and I was a tech integration specialist, I did support teachers K through 12. And so I had the opportunity to work with teachers of all various levels. And, now I love to present to educators, but I haven't actually taught a university level class.
What about you, Dave?
Yeah, so Teach Like a Pirate is used in many university courses, and so I love to go and zoom in with the classes and talk to them about the message. Um, and my workshops are for teachers K through 12 primarily, so I support teachers that are kindergarten through 12th grade. But as far as my teaching experience, it was in high school.
No? Beautiful. Well, I think your book, Teach Like a Pirate, I was actually reading a little bit and I really like it. And I think I can implement many of those things in the classroom, especially with the kindergarteners. And
Yeah.
I think some of my colleagues in a kindergarten where I'm actually working as well, they will really enjoy having you in a teaching training uh time, maybe.
Yeah, thanks. Interestingly enough, Teach Like a Pirate has been embraced by primary teachers, the early grades, elementary school, more than any other, which kind of makes sense to me because it kind of validates a lot of what you do. And so, if sometimes what I tell people is I get paid to go around and try to convince people to teach more like a kindergarten teacher. Because if you think about kindergarten too, like hands-on learning, experiences, incorporation of things like music and art and cross-curricular activities and all these kind of things are what kindergarten teachers are so amazing at, right? And at some point, educators get this idea that learning and teaching has to be so serious and everything has to be very like rote and like that. And I'm trying to say, no, 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 no. Let's go back to all those techniques and things that we used to use in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade. Those are the things that really bring learning alive, right?
Exactly.
And so I love to talk to elementary school audiences because, yeah, there's a couple things that happen. Sometimes teachers hear me and they're like, "Yes, this validates what I do. Like everyone has been telling me I'm crazy, but this guy's giving me permission to do these things, right?" Some people have that kind of a feeling. Some people get a whole bunch of new ideas, hopefully. But then another thing happens sometimes. I was doing a workshop one time, and a teacher came up to me afterwards, and she was crying. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I've offended this woman. What have I said?"
Oh,
Because
Jesus.
sometimes I can be a little edgy sometimes, right?
Okay.
And I said, "Oh my gosh, like what? I'm so sorry. Why are you crying?" And she said, "No, no, 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 it's fine." She's like, "While I was listening to you speak, it hit me. This is the way I used to teach." Like this is the
Yeah.
way I used to teach before I let some of this other stuff and emphasis on test scores and all these other things like drag me away from what I was doing when I really felt like I was being powerful with my students. And so some people will hear the Teach Like a Pirate message and be like, I used to do that stuff. Like, why don't I do that stuff anymore? And so it's kind of a different opinion or different things that people see when they see me.
Exactly. Yeah, Tisha, what do you think about this? Why do you think actually teachers changes actually this one? When they actually go to the high school, they start teaching in a different way, like too serious. Why don't they just
Yeah.
continue doing that, going that path? Why don't they do that? What's your
Well, I think
opinion
there's
on
just a
that?
lot of I think there's a lot of pressures out there. There's a lot of mandates that are coming down from the district office down to the schools, to the principals. And curriculum changes, and you just get kind of caught up in all the stuff that you have to do, all of the district policies, the curriculum that you are required to teach, and you start really, I think, paying too close attention to what everybody else is doing instead of really letting your own personality shine through what you teach. And I think it's teaching is hard. I was out of the classroom for about 5 years and just came back 2 years ago, and I'm tired. Like it's a lot.
Yes.
And it's easy to just kind of, I don't know, just kind of go through the motions after a while if you're not continuously connecting with people that inspire you and continuously really finding those ways to bring joy and play into learning. And the more you do it, I will tell you, it's contagious. The more that you bring that innovation and joy in, and you bring the hands-on in, and you bring the play in, the
Hmm.
more the students respond to it, the more excited they get. And then you just want to do more because you see how infectious it is. You see that excitement and that energy, and you see the learning happening. And it's amazing, but it's easy to get overwhelmed. It's easy to get overwhelmed as an
Of course.
educator.
Yeah. Not only that, but also the payment stuff. The wages are not that good, right? That's another thing that is totally unbalanced there. But all right, now that
Yeah.
we're talking a little bit about this, if someone walked into your classroom for the first time and said, "Wow, something feels different here," what would you hope they notice first? Let's start with you, Dave. What do you think? What would they notice first?
I think there's an energy that they would feel and a kind of a
Mhm.
level of charisma and intensity and a sense of really being passionate about what you do. And Carlos Santana said this thing one time. He said, "The enthusiasm is the most contagious thing in the world. The songs become incidental. What people receive is your joy." And I wrote about how like that's how I feel about teaching. Like the lessons become incidental. What people receive is your joy. What students receive is your joy and your the sense that
Mm,
you really love being there with them and want to be a part of their lives and lead them on this
Mhm.
learning journey. And kids can feel that. Kids can sense that. And
Mhm.
they can feel when a teacher is punching the clock and trying to get their paycheck and get out of there, or when
true.
this is like this is their life's work, this is their calling, and they love every part of it, right? Maybe not every part of it, but they love being there with them. And so I think that's what you would feel walking into my classroom is like, this is someone who loves what they do, is passionate about this work,
Mhm.
and is putting in the extra time, effort, heart, soul to create powerful learning experiences for kids.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more with Dave. And it's the biggest compliment as a teacher when a student says, "Mrs. Richmond, I can tell you really love teaching, and I can tell you really love us, that you really care about what's happening
Hmm.
in our lives. You really want to connect." And as we were closing out the school year, I had a lot of conversations with students that I knew they felt that. They knew they felt I really did care about them, and I really loved what I do. I loved creating a joyful learning experience for students. And I think that when you would walk into my classroom, I would hope that you would feel that joy. I would hope that you would feel that sense of connection. You would see students laughing and collaborating together. You would see students creating together. And you might say it's organized chaos because it is never a dull moment. I will tell you, if you walked into my classroom, it is buzzing. It is moving. But it's all a good energy, and we have fun. We have fun together, and it's a great place to be.
I like that one, organized chaos. It sounds really good. Beautiful. So, do you think now that we're just talking about how the new teachers or someone just coming to your classroom, how they would feel, but do you think great teaching is something people are born with, or something teachers intentionally design and build over time? What do you think, Tisha?
Hmm. You know, I think that for some teachers, it comes naturally, and I think that they have kind of that natural ability to teach and to be able to connect with kids and be kind of that connector and that person that is able to engage. But I think that some, it may be a little bit more difficult, but I definitely think it's something that you can hone in as a craft and you can get better and better at. And you can find ways to engage with students and strategies to create that really energetic, amazing learning experience for students. I do think that for some people, it's not for them. My sister is an anesthesiology or an anesthesiologist. There's no way that I would be able to do what she does. And she says, I would not want to do what you do. So I think that there are people that are going to be more inclined to the teaching to a teaching career. You know, we all have to find what we love. We all have to find our passion. And, you know, I know there are people that would say absolutely not. Like I don't want to be in that classroom. But I do think that you can get better at your craft and definitely I know that's the case for me. I've become a more effective educator, you know, as the years have gone by.
Wow. Dave.
So you're saying that your sister works better with a clientele that's passed out.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, so like, no, yeah, I love to work with people, but I like to put a mask on their face and put gas in them and like pass them.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So a little bit, my answer to this one is a little bit of my origin story with Teach Like a Pirate. And the kind of the one of the stories that I often tell is that my department chair early on came to me and asked me to do a professional development workshop or whether I wanted to do one, and then paused partway through and said, but you know what? Actually, the more I think about it, I don't think you can because I think that your success in the classroom is kind of you. It's personality driven. It's not something you could teach to other people. And so I took that as a challenge. And I
Mm.
signed up to do that first workshop that first time. And then I went back and said, okay, what is it that I do that's working? Where did I get this idea? Why does this one work and why doesn't this one work? And it forced me to become so much more intentional about my teaching, right? And so I compiled all the things that I did that were successful and then tried to generate like, why are they successful though? And how can I teach other people to do these things and teach other people to come up with these ideas? And that was
Exactly.
sort of the genesis, the start of developing the Teach Like a Pirate workshop and eventually the Teach Like a Pirate book. So I do believe, I agree with Tisha that some people maybe come to this more naturally, but I do believe that it's something that we can teach and we can bring and show people how to have greater intentionality around their teaching and how to be more engaging and how to design and create these learning experiences for kids. And that's what, I mean, both of us do. We travel and help
Mhm.
other teachers really learn how to do this. Maybe that doesn't come naturally to them, but that doesn't mean that they can't do it.
Well, I like what you said there because in my short career as an English teacher, as a languages teacher, not only English, languages teacher, 20 years, I've actually seen many teachers who have they've been actually trying to grow, they've been trying to learn a lot how to, classroom management, because that's one of the main issues that we have right now, classroom management. Not all the teachers actually are able to do it. So I think this is something that also depends on the person. It's something like extrovert, let's say like that. If there's a teacher who's extrovert, it will be easier. But if there's a teacher who's a little bit introvert, it's gonna be a little bit different. Don't you think so?
Well, so this sometimes I have a confrontational answer for this one. And so, because this is something I hear all the time, is people say like, I don't think I could teach like a pirate because I'm
An
introverted, right?
introvert.
And
Yeah.
then like so I would say, well, all progress is found outside of your comfort zone. So if you are never uncomfortable as an educator, then you're not growing. And so I don't accept the excuse that like I'm introverted, I can't do these things. First of all, a lot of these techniques and ideas can be done by an introvert. It's not about doing the somersaults and cartwheels and running up and down aisles and all that kind of stuff. Maybe I do that stuff that fits my personality, but there's lots of these things that can be incorporated that just bring learning alive for kids and for students, right? But also, whenever they say I could never do that because I'm an introvert, I'm like, well, it sounds like they would be uncomfortable for you. Is that what you're saying? And and maybe we talk to kids all the time about having a growth mindset, right? Like we say, a kid says, I'm not good at math. We don't say, oh yeah, that sucks. No, we say, whoa, hold on. We're like, whoa, wait, you're not good at math yet, right? And then we work with them and help them build confidence and a skill set and get closer and closer to what we want them to ultimately be able to do, right? So the same thing is true of teachers. You might not feel comfortable trying some of these ideas, like maybe gamifying your class, which is what one of the things that Tisha is amazing at, right? That might be outside your comfort zone. Well, that's where progress is, outside of your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. And I would say that I am an introvert. A lot of people don't know that about me
Oh, gee,
because
didn't
maybe
see it.
they see they see me more like outgoing
Yeah.
and more extroverted acting, but I definitely recharge by being alone and I need my quiet. And I actually am a fairly quiet person. But when I go into my classroom, I do come alive. And I would also say, just kind of along with Dave's point too, is that we can make it our own. So we can take these ideas and strategies. Your magic is not my magic is not your magic, but we can take them and make them ours, right? I
Mhm.
mean, that is what I've done in my classroom. I have had the amazing opportunity to learn from educators around the world and connect with people that are doing amazing things. But what they're doing doesn't look the same. First of all, I teach culinary arts. And what Dave is going to do in his social studies class is not going to be what I do in my culinary arts class, but I can take those ideas and strategies and I can make them my own and make them work in culinary arts 100%. And so I think that it's important um, to honor who you are as your personality, but also like Dave says, like grow and try things that are new. I would not be where I am today if I would have just stayed status quo. Like I
Yeah.
have continually pushed myself out of my comfort zone to try new things. And one thing I will say as well is it's okay to not be an expert at those things. I all of the
True.
time will go into my classroom and tell my students, hey, I'm going to try this thing today. Like, let's do it. I don't know a ton about it. I've done, as much research as I can. And I think I have an idea, but you really don't know how it's going to land in the classroom until you do it. And so giving yourself permission to try things and really inviting your students on that learning journey with you. And that they love that. They love knowing that you are wanting to try new things, that you're wanting to create the best experience you can for students. And to invite them in on that is really honoring them as students. And they truly do love it.
I
Yep.
like one of the
Great.
words there. Yes,
I was just gonna
Dave.
say this might blow your mind, but like so besides publishing, Tisha, we also happen to be friends, and I can verify that Tisha is an introvert outside of the classroom in many ways.
Wow.
But what might surprise you, and that she could verify this, me too. Like I'm like this
No,
wild,
no,
I
impossible.
am
What?
wild and crazy on
It's
stage
true.
and in workshops, and like it's like this over the top dramatic character, right? But then
Dressed up
outside
like a
of that,
pirate and everything, you know?
yes, dressed like a pirate, walking around conferences. But outside of that, I am wildly introverted. Like I'm like
Wow.
very much to myself and like isolated. So it's definitely something that I think that
Mhm.
Well,
introverted people can do this.
I'm definitely
Mhm.
shocked right now. I'm in shock. Okay. Now, there's one of the words that actually you used in what you were saying, Tisha. It was the word magic.
Mhm.
So when we say magic in
Mhm.
education, what does that actually mean? Are we talking about
Mhm.
fun, engagement, or I don't know, emotions, memory, or it goes deeper?
Mhm.
What is it exactly?
Yeah, well, I definitely think it goes deeper. A lot of people don't realize that magical is actually an acronym. So when I wrote the book Make Learning Magical, I really break
Yes.
down magical into those pieces, those keys that really unlocked and transformed my teaching and really created those unforgettable experiences for students. So M stands for memorable beginnings, A is for authenticity and agency, G is for gamification, I is innovation, C is curiosity, creativity, and collaboration, A is authentic audience, and L is legacy. And so when I really sat down and I really thought about like, how has this happened? How was I able to go from a teacher that was burnout, ready to give up, to a teacher that had really been able to respark my joy? Like, what were the components that really made
Hmm.
that happen? And when I really sat down and I processed that, those were the pieces, those were the secret ingredients that really unlocked that magic for me and for my students. And so yes, it does go deeper. There are a lot of different components there that have really brought me to where I am right now. And I'm still learning and growing, but I do feel that, that all of those pieces are very, very important and have
Yeah,
created that atmosphere for my students and
I
and their learning.
I love it. I love that part that you said. That's why I'm actually asking you this question, magic. But now coming back a little bit to
Mhm.
Dave, Dave was actually saying now that he was dressed up like a pirate and just go here to this workshop and being how's it called? Introvert. It's really shocking, but it is possible. Now I see it's possible. But what's the difference between being, I mean, between entertainment and meaningful engagement? Because you're doing two things there, right? How can I recognize that? Because uh, we have in the audience novice teachers and they're just coming to the career, they would like to know a little bit about this. What's that different?
Yeah, so I published a book by Quinn Rollins that was called Play Like a Pirate, about how to use action figures, Legos, toys, graphic novels, all these kind of things in class. And he has this quote that I talk about a lot. And his quote is, serious learning can be seriously fun. And so we don't want to fall for this false dichotomy. People will try to do this to you. They'll set up this false dichotomy that says that either your class is about learning or your class is about fun. Not only can those things go together, they go better together. I call it the Reese's effect. They go better together. So I never apologize to anyone about my class being fun or entertaining. Uh, and it's like I look at I have this thing, a triple Venn diagram that I look at teaching
Mhm.
as. And so one of those circles is content. We have to have that circle, or we're just entertainers or babysitters. This is not just about entertaining kids. We have to have this content circle in our teaching,
Mhm.
right? And then there's this other circle that interlocks with that called techniques and methods. And we have a whole toolbox of techniques and methods that we get trained on. We learn in our credential programs. We learn from our colleagues, from workshops and conferences that we attend. And there's all kinds of books that have been written about techniques and methods to teach. We have to have that circle too. We have to be strong with our pedagogy, right? We have to have strong with our
Yes.
content. In fact, in my book, I wrote something. I said, "Hey, if you, I'm assuming when you're reading this book that you already know your content. If you don't know your content, go put the book down and go learn your content." Like,
Mhm.
don't step in front of a classroom if you don't know your content, right? So, like, I'm assuming when you're reading my book, you know your content. If you don't, you need to go do that. Like, put my book down, right? So we have our content circle, we have our techniques and methods circle, but then there's a third circle. And that third circle is what I think people don't spend enough time talking about. And what I've got this zeal to go and talk about. The third circle I label as presentation. So, yes, you know your content. Yeah, you've got all these techniques and methods that you're learning, but then now, how are you going to present it in such a way that it's engaging for kids? How are you going to
Exactly.
present it in such a way that it's relevant for them? How are you going to present it in such a way that it draws them almost magically or magnetically into what you're doing in your room?
Exactly.
third circle of Teach Like a Pirate. And that's what I love to talk to teachers about. And so this focus that I have on presentation does not mean that I don't want there to be content and technique. I want all that stuff. I just want you to also to spend time thinking about how do you present in such a way that it brings it alive.
Wow. So now we're putting traditionalism aside. Goodbye. No more traditionalism in the classroom, right?
Yeah, yeah. We need to. This is something I said in the book too. I said, don't just teach a lesson, create an experience. Lessons are easily
Exactly.
forgotten. Experiences live forever, right? So it's saying like,
Mhm.
here's my content, not good enough. How do I make it come alive? How do I make it memorable? How do I
Mhm.
create an experience around this?
Exactly. Wow.
Mhm.
So here we have something, now that I hear you two talking about such an amazing topic now, we have two things, the magic here and the other part, there is the teaching like a pirate. So, Tish, your work emphasizes in creating magical learning experiences. And Dave, you
Mhm.
talk about teaching like a pirate again, with passion and hooks. Where do your
Mhm.
philosophies overlap? And where are they
Mhm.
different? Tisha, what about you start with that?
Yeah, I think that there we have a lot in common with our philosophies. In fact, I was inspired by Dave and his message when I was right at the beginning of kind of this journey into magical learning and teaching. I was connecting with educators on Twitter. Like Twitter was a big deal back then, and I was starting to find my people and the people that inspired me and that I could learn and grow from. And Dave was one
Hmm.
of the very, very first educators that I came across, and I started going to the TLAP chat that was on Twitter every Monday night and connecting with educators that were doing things differently. And that excited me. And I thought, oh, there's a different way. Like I can find this joy again for teaching. And so I would say that make learning magical in part was born from that inspiration of TLAP. Was Teach Like a Pirate was one of the books that really transformed and made me think differently about teaching. And so I think that there are a lot of overlap and parallels there. What
I,
would you
I
say,
think,
Dave?
I think, I think, Mike, what she is trying to say is that I'm old. Like, she's like, when I came up in this business, there was this old dude around that was like, I was talking about this stuff, and like,
You're
no,
not that much older than I am.
we won't go into the ages, right? But no,
We're all
I agree
young.
with Tisha that yeah, I agree with Tisha that there's a quite a bit of overlap between her message and my message, and I think it's both about bringing learning alive for students, and we both want to create these powerful and magical learning experiences for kids, and I think that you ask like where do the differences lie? Um, I think that maybe my Teach Like a Pirate has maybe more of an emphasis on um, teacher actions and
Yeah.
things of engagement. And I think Tisha's message has a lot more to do with more collaborative and student-centered ideas and with the like, layering in the gamification and all that kind of stuff. So I think that the both of them together is even more powerful. Like maybe I'm showing you how to do like you personally to be more engaging in front of the class, and she's showing how you can make learning come alive through collaborative activities and
Mhm.
gamification and things that the students are doing. So I think kind of the marriage of both of them together could be a really powerful thing, and that's I mean we hope people use both of these kind of strategies.
I think it would be
Absolutely.
beautiful to see